Have you noticed how certain experiences in your life didn't simply hurt you? They restructured you? At the time, it didn't feel like transformation. It felt like pressure closing in from all sides, like weight that never lifted, like something was constantly testing how much more you could endure. There were moments when you questioned your own strength, moments when you wondered if you were becoming too sensitive, or if life itself was asking something unreasonable of you. You may have even thought, why does this keep happening to me? Or, what am I missing that others seem to handle more easily? And yet, beneath all of that, something else was taking place. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. You didn't announce a change. You didn't make a declaration. But inside, you began to shift. You became quieter in the places where you once overexplained, more discerning where you once tolerated, less willing to abandon yourself just to survive situations that never truly honored you. You stopped negotiating your inner truth. You stopped justifying your pain to people who could not meet you there. You stopped reshaping yourself to fit spaces that required your self-erasure. And that was the turning point, because what you were experiencing was never meant to destroy you. What felt like pressure was actually compression, and compression changes structure. We speak to you now as the Pleiadians. We are guardians of the human emotional field, the heart, the nervous system, and the coherence that holds a human being together from the inside. Our role is not to interfere with your choices. We do not remove challenge from your path. We do not shield you from intensity. Our role is to stabilize the field while transformation is happening, so that pressure does not fracture you, but reorganizes you. In the emotional field, pressure always produces one of two outcomes: collapses the structure, or it consolidates it. Everything that tried to break you was testing the structure of your field, not to punish you, not to prove weakness, but to reveal what could not remain as it was. False adaptations, old survival patterns, ways of coping that once kept you safe, but were no longer sustainable. Each moment you stayed present instead of abandoning yourself, the field learned something new. Each moment you chose clarity over comfort, the structure became denser. And because you are still here, more aware, more grounded, more contained, the structure did not collapse, condensed. It reorganized itself around truth. That is why you feel different now. Not louder, not harder, not armored, but clearer. You no longer tolerate distortion the same way. You sense misalignment sooner. You don't explain your boundaries to people who refuse to respect them. What once felt like being broken was actually the old structure losing its hold. And now something else is emerging. The pressure is no longer just pressure. The strain is no longer just strain. It is becoming usable power. Not power that dominates, not power that reacts, but power that remains steady under weight. And we remain with you here, not to dramatize what you lived, but to help you recognize what has already been forged inside your field. Pressure is often misunderstood because people only feel its surface. They feel the weight. They feel the urgency. They feel the exhaustion of being asked to hold more than feels fair. But pressure is not designed to punish the field. It is designed to reveal how the field is organized. When pressure enters the emotional system, it immediately exposes three things: what is stable, what is leaking energy, and what cannot remain intact under truth. That is why those experiences felt relentless. They were not targeting your essence. They were pressing against the structures you had built to survive. Adaptations, roles, compromises you once made to stay connected, safe, or accepted. Under pressure, those structures begin to fail. And this is where most people try to escape. They numb. They distract. They search for relief as quickly as possible. But something different happened with you. Even when you wanted relief, even when you questioned yourself, you stayed present. You didn't collapse inward. You didn't abandon your center. And that choice changed the outcome. In the field, pressure only destroys what is hollow. What is aligned does not break, it densifies. Each time you held yourself instead of dissolving, the system learned where it could no longer bend. Each time you chose clarity over comfort, the field reorganized around truth instead of fear. This is why pressure eventually feels different. It stops feeling like something that is happening to you and starts feeling like something happening within you. Your tolerance for distortion decreases. Your patience for misalignment shortens. Your body responds faster to what is off. This is not damage. This is refinement. Power is not created by adding more force. It is created by removing instability. And pressure is the mechanism that does that work. That is why what once felt unbearable is now the very thing that gave your presence weight. Not urgency, not intensity. Wait, you are no longer easily moved. Not because you are rigid, but because your center is organized. From here, pressure no longer threatens collapse. It feeds what has already been forged. There is a moment when you realize something quietly but unmistakably. What once overwhelmed you no longer has the same power. The memories are still there. The experiences are still part of your history, but they no longer define your posture in the present. You respond differently now. Your body settles faster. Your thoughts do not spiral the way they once did. Your emotions move through you instead of taking you over. This is not because the past disappeared. It is because it was integrated. Integration is the point where experience stops draining energy and starts producing strength. You no longer relate to what happened as something that damaged you, but as something that clarified you. This is when the inner narrative changes. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and you start noticing, "What did this force me to become?" We guide you here as guardians of emotional coherence. Our role in this phase is to help you recognize the shift, so your system stops treating past pressure as a threat and begins using it as structured energy, because what is not recognized cannot be stabilized, and what is not stabilized continues to pull at you from the past. Recognition closes that loop. This is why anchoring matters now. Write in the comments, "What tried to break me is becoming my power." Writing this is not symbolic. It helps your nervous system register the transformation consciously. It reframes pressure as usable force, reduces internal resistance, and allows strength to settle without tension. When this recognition anchors, your field stops revisiting old experiences for answers. It already has them. From this point forward, what once felt like a wound functions as structure, and structure is what power rests on. This is the first moment where you feel it clearly. You are no longer surviving what happened. You are standing on what it forged. Power does not arrive all at once. It forms slowly, layer by layer, through moments where you chose to stay present, instead of abandoning yourself. Most people imagine power as something external, position, a voice, an action. But in the field, power is structural. It is created when the system learns, where it can no longer bend without breaking. Every time you were pressured to compromise your truth and chose clarity instead, the structure of your field changed. Every time you were asked to shrink, to stay silent about what mattered, to endure something that violated your inner coherence, and you did not disappear inside yourself, the structure strengthened. This is important to understand. Power is not created by resisting everything. It is created by remaining aligned under strain. When strain is present, false structures cannot survive. They either dissolve or are replaced by something more stable. This is why the process felt so uncomfortable. Your field was shedding adaptations that once kept you safe, but were no longer sustainable. Old identities loosened. Old expectations fell away. Old ways of relating to pain stopped working. And in their place, something denser formed. Not emotional hardness, not defensiveness, density, a center that holds. You began to notice that fewer things could shake you, not because you cared less, but because your energy was no longer spread thin. Your reactions became slower, your responses more deliberate, your presence less fragmented. This is what forged power looks like. It does not announce itself. It does not seek recognition. It simply remains. Power formed this way does not dominate others. It does not prove itself through intensity. It changes the field quietly. People feel it without knowing why. Situations respond differently without explanation. Because when a field is organized, it influences its surroundings naturally. What you are experiencing now is not the absence of challenge. It is the absence of collapse. And that difference changes everything. From here forward, your power is no longer something you try to access. It is something you stand inside of, stable, contained, and unmistakably your own. There is a distinction that changes how you understand your entire past. Not everything that hurts damages you. Some experiences forge you. From the outside, they can look identical. Pain is pain. Loss is loss. Strain feels overwhelming no matter its outcome. But in the field, the difference is profound. Damage occurs when pressure forces the system to abandon its center. When survival requires disconnection from the self. When coherence fractures and the field scatters just to keep functioning. Forging is something else entirely. Forging happens when the system remains present under strain. It does not mean you felt strong. It does not mean you were calm or confident. It means that, even in moments of fear or exhaustion, part of you stayed awake. A part of you continued to observe. A part of you refused to disappear completely. That presence mattered more than you realized at the time. Because pressure alone does not decide the outcome. Presence does. Many people survive difficult experiences by leaving themselves internally. They numb. They detach. They build identities around endurance rather than truth. That is how damage is created. But your path was different. Even when you adapted, even when you questioned yourself, even when you felt close to breaking, your center was never fully abandoned. And because the center remained, pressure did not shatter you. It reorganized you. What fell away were not essential parts of you. What dissolved were structures that could not remain aligned. False loyalties, survival roles, patterns built to keep peace at the cost of coherence. These things cannot survive sustained presence. That is why you don't feel ruined in the way you once feared. You feel altered, more contained, more grounded, less available for distortion. Forging always leaves this signature. Damage weakens boundaries. Forging clarifies them. Damage creates fear of repetition. Forging creates discernment. Damage fragments energy. Forging concentrates it. This is why the same type of experience breaks some people and refines others. It is not about toughness. It is not about resilience in the motivational sense. It is about whether presence was maintained. Presence allowed pressure to compress your field. Instead of tearing it apart, presence turned strain into structure. And now the results of that process are visible. You are less reactive, not because you care less, but because your energy is no longer scattered. You sense misalignment sooner. You disengage faster from what distorts you. You don't need intensity to feel alive. This is the aftermath of forging. You no longer relate to what happened as something that must be avoided at all costs. You relate to it as something that revealed where your structure needed to become real. This does not mean you seek hardship. It means you no longer fear it in the same way, because you know something now that cannot be taken from you. What is aligned in you does not collapse under strain, consolidates, and what consolidates becomes reliable. This is why your power feels quieter than you expected. It does not come with adrenaline. It does not demand constant action. It comes with stability, and stability is not weakness. It is what allows power to remain present, usable, and grounded in reality. This is the difference between being damaged and being forged, and your field knows which one occurred. Once forging is complete, the next phase begins quietly: stabilization. This is where many people misunderstand what power actually is. They expect intensity. They expect confidence to feel loud. They expect strength to announce itself. But forged power behaves differently, settles. You begin to notice that you no longer rush internally. You don't feel the same urgency to respond, explain, or prove yourself. Your reactions slow down, not because you are detached, but because your center is no longer unstable. This is one of the clearest signs that power has stabilized in the field. Your nervous system recovers faster after stress. Your emotional state no longer swings as widely. Situations that once pulled you into overthinking now pass through with far less impact. This is not suppression. This is regulation. Regulated power does not need to defend itself. It does not need to dominate. It does not need to convince anyone of its presence. It simply holds. We support this phase as Pleiadians because this is where many reopen old patterns without realizing it. When stability first appears, habit sometimes mistakes it for emptiness. You may briefly feel a strange calm, a lack of urgency, a sense that you are no longer pushing. This is not loss of power. This is power no longer leaking. Our role here is to help your system trust this steadiness, so you don't recreate intensity just to feel alive again. Because intensity is familiar, stability is new, and now anchoring becomes important. Write in the comments, "My power is stable." Writing this anchors the nervous system into regulation. It signals that strength no longer requires tension, reduces the impulse to overextend or overcompensate, and allows power to remain present without effort. As this stabilization deepens, you may notice something subtle but important. People respond differently to you, not because you changed your behavior, but because your field is no longer reactive. Situations resolve with fewer words. Boundaries hold without explanation. Your presence carries weight without pressure. This is stabilized power, not something you perform, something you inhabit. And from here, everything that comes next builds on this foundation of steadiness rather than strain. Once your power stabilizes, life begins to respond in subtle but unmistakable ways. Not all at once, not dramatically, quietly. Situations that once felt heavy no longer carry the same emotional charge. Challenges that used to drain you feel more contained, more manageable, sometimes even irrelevant. This is not because life became easier. It's because your field became organized. When power is unstable, life tests it repeatedly. The same themes return. The same dynamics replay. The same pressures reappear, until coherence is established. But once stability is present, repetition loses its purpose. You may notice that certain problems simply stop showing up, not because you solved them, but because you no longer resonate with the structure that required them. Other situations still appear, but they meet you differently. They don't hook you the same way. They don't pull you into reaction. They don't demand that you abandon yourself to survive them. This is one of the clearest signs of real power. Not control over life, but alignment within it. Relationships also begin to adjust. Some people meet you at this new level, without needing explanations. They feel the steadiness and respond to it naturally. Others fade into the background, not through conflict, not through rejection, but through lack of resonance. This is not loss. It is refinement. What aligns with your stabilized field stays close. What requires you to fracture yourself can no longer remain. You may also notice that decisions become simpler. You don't deliberate as much. You don't second-guess your instincts. You don't search externally for confirmation. Your body gives you information faster. Your intuition feels quieter but more reliable. Your no arrives without guilt. This is what happens when power is no longer reactive. You are not pushing against life anymore, and life is no longer pushing against you. There is a mutual adjustment, not because you demanded it, but because coherence influences everything it touches. From this point forward, your path requires less force. You don't need to manage outcomes. You don't need to anticipate every possibility. You move, life responds, and what once felt like constant resistance begins to feel like cooperation. This is not the end of challenge. It is the end of unnecessary strain, because stabilized power does not attract chaos. It attracts clarity, and clarity changes how the entire field behaves around you. There is a stage that comes after power stabilizes, that many people don't expect. It is not excitement. It is not intensity. It is not a feeling of victory. It is maturity. You begin to notice that you no longer need to prove what you've become. You don't feel the urge to explain your growth. You don't need others to recognize what you survived or integrated. Your strength no longer looks dramatic. It looks quiet. You feel less reactive to praise, less disturbed by misunderstanding, less affected by situations that once would have shaken your sense of self. This does not mean you feel less. It means your emotions are no longer running the structure of your field. They move through awareness, instead of deciding your posture. This is one of the clearest signs of maturity. You can feel intensity without becoming it. You can face challenge without internal collapse. You can hold space without losing yourself in it. At this stage, something subtle happens in how you relate to others. You stop trying to be understood by everyone. You stop offering explanations to people who are not truly listening. You stop carrying responsibility for reactions that do not belong to you. Not out of indifference, out of clarity. You recognize that not everyone is meant to access you at the same depth, and that realization feels relieving rather than lonely. You also notice that silence changes its quality. Before, silence may have felt like absence, like disconnection, like something that needed to be filled. Now silence feels full. It holds information. It holds direction. It holds your center steady. This is not withdrawal. It is containment. Life may still test you occasionally at this stage. Old dynamics can resurface briefly. Familiar emotional tones may try to pull you back into old patterns. not because you failed, but because the field checks for resonance one last time. And when nothing answers back, those patterns release. You don't need to confront them. You don't need to close them deliberately. Your presence completes the process. This is maturity in the field. Not hardness, not detachment, but regulated strength that does not need tension to exist. From here, your power no longer needs maintenance, sustains itself, and what remains in your life from this point on does so because it aligns with who you are now, not with who you once had to be to survive. This is the stage where power becomes wisdom, and wisdom moves differently. It doesn't rush. It doesn't prove. It simply knows where it stands. That is where you are now. There is one final understanding that brings everything together. Nothing that tried to break you was wasted. Not the pressure, not the confusion, not the moments where you doubted yourself or questioned whether you could keep going. All of it served one function: to reorganize your field until what was real in you could stand on its own. You are not stronger because you resisted everything. You are stronger because you stayed present. While false structures fell away, what collapsed was never meant to carry you forward. What remained is what can. This is why your power feels different from what you once imagined. It is not aggressive. It does not seek dominance. It does not need validation. Feel steady. You no longer draw your sense of self from what you overcame. You draw it from what you integrated. That is an important distinction. When power comes from overcoming alone, it still depends on opposition. When power comes from integration, it stands on its own. And this is where trust becomes essential. Not trust in outcomes, not trust in other people, but trust in your own field. Trust that your system now knows how to hold intensity without collapsing. Trust that clarity will arrive without force. Trust that what aligns with you will remain, and what does not will release without struggle. This trust changes how you move forward. You stop bracing for impact. You stop scanning for the next challenge. You stop defining yourself by what you survived. You simply stand in what was forged. And from here, life meets you differently, because you meet yourself differently. We remain with you in this steadiness, as guardians of emotional coherence, not to direct your path, but to support what has already stabilized within you. Now anchor this final integration. Write in the comments, "I trust the power I've become." Writing this is not about expression. It is about confirmation. It helps the nervous system settle fully into trust, releases any remaining doubt about your own strength, and allows your power to remain grounded, usable, and calm. You are not becoming powerful. You already are. What tried to break you completed its work, and now you move forward, not carrying the past, but standing on what it forged.